So in this section, I want to cover host profiles and uh, vSphere tags. Okay, so let's start off with our host profiles. We'll just go through a little bit on what host profiles are, and then I'll get into our vSphere web client and demonstrate this. So host profiles encapsulate our ESXi host configurations into a profile, from which we could deploy additional hosts using that profile. So this validated profile can be used to configure our networking, our storage, security, or other settings onto additional hosts. Um, so basically, a host profile, it automates a repetitive application of our configuration settings. It would also help us to avoid configuration errors. Um, it allows us to have a centralized way of monitoring the configuration, as well as allowing us to view and correct configuration inconsistencies among our hosts. So to get started with this, we would have a reference host from which we will extract the settings and configuration into a host profile. Once we have extracted that profile from our reference host, we can go ahead and utilize it by attaching it to another host. Once that attachment is confirmed, the destination host should show up as compliant since its settings are the same as the reference host. We could also edit the host profile. There are a number of policies that can be modified to make the destination host unique. Settings like the specific IP address that we want our destination host to have, or a new root password, for example, if we need that to be different from the reference host. Okay, so let me pull up my vSphere web client here, and then we could take a look at host profile. So I'm at the home screen in my vSphere web client. If I go to host profile here, it's under monitoring. So we have inventories, monitoring, administration, under monitoring, and then host profile here. Okay, so we have a couple options here. We could import a host profile if we previously exported one, and we could go ahead and click the plus icon here and create a new profile or extract a new profile. Okay, so we're extracting this from the reference host. So in this case here, we have the option of which host to extract this profile from. I only have these two hosts up and running right now. So let's just select ESXi1. Okay, I'll hit next here. And we we could give this, well, we'll need to give this a name, and we could give it a description too. So let's call it ESXi host profile. ESXi1. Okay. The description is optional there. I'll just go ahead and hit next. Okay, so once I hit finish here, this would go ahead and extract out that profile from ESXi1. Okay, so I'll just hit on finish here. Notice at the bottom here it is working. And this should take a few seconds and it should complete. Once this is completed, we'll see it showing up in our list here. Okay, so this is completed now. We have our profile here. We could just right click this profile and then work with it. We have a couple different options here. We could delete it, we could rename it, edit settings. Okay, for edit settings, we could edit this particular profile. These are all the different settings that we could edit in here. Um, say, say for some reason we need to make a change on this V switch. Let's just say the number of ports. I need to change the default from 128 ports on a standard um, V switch. Here is where I could do that. We could edit any of these settings in here in this list. So for now, I'll just cancel out of this. I could go ahead and attach this. We have a couple options for attaching this. We could attach it to a host or to a cluster. Okay, so I could attach this directly at the cluster level here and just select attach and move it over there. Um, I could select another cluster and attach it there. Okay, and then hit on next. Okay, and then hit on finish here. So any host now that we add to cluster 2 where we would have attached this profile, it would gather this profile setting. Alright, if we go to remediate here, we could select a cluster 2. Okay, and all the hosts that are in cluster 2, we would remediate them with this host profile settings. Okay, so let's cancel out of this here and see what other options we have. We could copy out the settings from this tool. We could duplicate this. We could export out this profile, this host profile, and import it on another host. Okay. Um, and here we could check the host profile compliance if it was attached. If we did attach it to another host or cluster, we could go ahead here and check the compliance. All right. Okay, so that should be it for host profiles. Let's take a look at tags. But before we get into tags here, I have a slide on this, so let me just minimize back this and go over to tags. Okay, so tags are basically labels that we can add to objects in our vSphere inventory. We could use it to capture a variety of metadata in our inventory. So after after defining a tag, we could use them to help organize and find objects within our inventory list there. So before we could get started with this, we would need to create at least one category for our tags. So categories are used to group similar tags. Object tags were introduced with vSphere 5.1. So starting from 5.1, this was introduced. And we could create it at basically all the levels or most levels within our inventory. We could also have one or many tags per vSphere object. All right. So once our tags and categories are defined and applied to an object, we could filter for those objects by selecting our tag or by searching using our vSphere web client search feature. Okay, so let me pull up back my vSphere web client here, and then we'll take a look at tags. So over on the left here in my inventory list, if I come all the way to the bottom here, we have tags here. So if we select tags, we could create a new tag. All right. So to get started with this, we need to create a category first. All right. So let me define a new category. And let's call this category gas operating system Okay, so I'll create a category for a guest operating system. So for this here, I need to uh, deal with virtual machines. So let's just select a virtual machine there. And we want to define a one tag per object. We can also do many tags per object, but I just want to do one tag per object here. So we need to define a category first. So after we finish the category there, we could come to tags here and define a tag. So let's say I need to tag my Linux guest OS. Okay, we could give this tag a description, pick a category for it, and the category is guest OS type. Okay, and then hit OK there. What I can do now is come into my inventory list here, VM and templates, and just tag my VM. So I'm trying to tag my Linux VM. So let me come over to this one here. Tags and custom attributes at the bottom here, and then I'll assign a tag. So for this, I want to assign the Linux guest OS tag that I just defined. So I'll go ahead and select that, and then I'll hit on assign at the bottom here. Okay, so let me do one more. Let me do my CentOS here. So I'll go again, assign tag. We'll select the same tag here. Okay, this is my category that I define. If I give it a description, that would have shown up here. So go ahead and hit assign. Okay, so let's just go back to home now and select tags here. Okay, so if I go over to my Linux guest OS here and select this. Okay, if I click on objects, or if I go to related objects here, it would show me my VM that are related to this tag, or those that are tagged here. So I did my DSL and my test CentOS here. Okay, so basically we would those would tag would show up in our list here. Also, what we could do is use the search function here, and let's just search for Linux guest OS. Okay. If you were to do a search here, the same tag would come up here, and then we would be able to come back to our list here with our virtual machine. And we could do tagging for a lot of different objects within our inventory. We could do this also for hosts. Say, for example, we were running a lot of hosts in our environment. We could tag them by brand. So okay, so we want all our Cisco servers to be tagged. Then we could tag our Dell servers, for example. Those are just some different ways how we could use tagging.